W legends Jerry Lynn and Mikey Whipwreck. Now, let's welcome your host, Mike Freland.
Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday night. It is Front Row Material. My name is Mike Freland. So glad you have taken some time of your evening to go ahead and join us. And as always, I am joined by my beautiful bald-headed friend. His name is
The Ritt.
Ritster. How are you, buddy?
A lot better now, Freeland. A lot better now. How you doing? This new year is great. And
It is.
So far, it's going to be a hot one.
I think it's going to be a good 2022. Once again, we said that about 2021. Obviously,
we almost snuck out of 2021.
Almost. And here's the bad part about it. I was so excited about the Betty White, a big tribute for her 100th birthday coming up, because as you know, I'm a big Golden Girls fan, and it just took the wind out of my sail. And you were the one that actually texted me and gave me the heartbreaking news, and it's just yep, this is for you, Betty. So
man. But Freeland,
yes, sir.
It's 2022, and well, it's time for us to leave the station and get on the tracks, because the locomotive's coming through. Choo choo.
Choo choo, baby. And you know what rhymes with choo choo? Poo poo. Erica Lee, another shout out, another plug, just because we love poo poo pee pee. Anyway, please continue. I digress.
But Freeland,
yes.
I'm gonna let you introduce tonight's guest.
There's a reason why somehow you're giving me the honors of introducing our guest, and right now I tell you what, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm a little nervous. Is there a reason behind why I would be doing?
Freeland, I was told that it would be great entertainment if you would introduce him just as what I said. So, Freeland, no further ado, let's hit this up.
All right, guys. With that being, I don't even know what to say at this point. With that being said, let's go ahead and let's welcome in our guest tonight. He is a very successful professional wrestler, a very intimidating man, great physique. He is Brian Johnson. Brian, welcome to the program. Thanks for taking some time out for us.
Freeland, let me make this very clear. If anybody ever mentions the locomotive and you bring up poo-poo, I'm going to knock all of it that's inside of you out of you. And if you ever call me by anything other than the M-E-C-C-A, the Mecca Brian Johnson, you're not going to have to worry about Betty White and making it to 100 years. You got it?
Yes, duly noted.
Freeland, I sit there and I sign a guest to come on.
Yeah.
The locomotive, the Mecca of sports entertainment, professional wrestling, and you have to sit there and...
I'm pissed off I took a second seat to Betty White. What she's ever done. Who's she ever beat? I'm
sorry. You know what? I was wrong. And you know what? I can admit that. You're a very scary man. I can tell. Not my intentions to upset you, my friend. So please, my sincerest condolences, and please don't make me buy my plot tomorrow. So thanks a lot, Ritt.
Hey, my pleasure, Freeland. What a way to start off 2022. So Mecca, man, how are you doing, sir? How is your year planning out? Ring of Honor, closed its doors for a little bit. So what is on the Mecca's, what are his stops on that locomotive?
So I guess to answer your first question, how am I doing? Terrible. I just lost my freaking job. Thanks. As you like to say, Ring of Honor closed their doors. So that was a real kick in the ass, guys. Like any place closing. And a place like Ring of Honor, obviously I'm making a little light of it with losing a job, right? I'm still wrestling. I'm keeping my head above water. But when a place like Ring of Honor closes, it's not like you just blink an eye and move on. We might not have the legacy of Betty White to bring a tear to everybody's eyes with the passing. But our handprints and fingerprints on pro wrestling are undeniable. But we've been up that road long enough, and Final Battle's come and gone. And hopefully this re-imagery of it, or whatever the hell they're calling it, that's coming in April, involves the Mecca. Or at least let's hope for them it does, because if not, they're just going to be a much more stale version of what they were. In regards to myself and what I'm calling the Mecca Locomotive Tour 2022, we're jacked up and ready for this Saturday night. We start On Point Wrestling in New Jersey, followed by IWA Vintage the following week. And I got some other dates coming up, and all of them you can find on my Twitter and Instagram, but we're not here to plug that yet, I'm sure. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of brilliant questions from the two of you that you got lined up.
Richard, do you want me to start, or do you want me to sit back here and
it all depends. Are you going to ask an intelligent question?
I'm going to ask an intelligent question, yes.
I apologize ahead of time, Mecca.
Well, that would make one of us shocked for sure.
Can I refer to you as Mr. Johnson? Shall I do that?
Go ahead. Let's rock, boys.
Let's kind of talk about the early years of getting into pro wrestling. I mean, obviously, you've been doing this for a while. Obviously, you've been very successful. What was kind of the genesis of you deciding that this is something that you wanted to do? Was it something that was kind of always on your radar, or was it something that you felt like, you know what, I have the physical abilities already, I have all the intangibles, I think I'd like to do something like this?
You know, it never came from a physical standpoint. And I don't know if I've ever had somebody ask me from that standpoint. I never thought of it that way. Obviously, there's a lot of guys that are pro football players that probably look at it that way, right? For sure. Brock Lesnar and then on down. I always just loved it. And that's, I know, cliche in a way, but I have an older sibling, and he liked it. My father, he watched it. And, you know, you're kind of born into pro wrestling. It's very rare that, like, someone just picks it up by themselves. I mean, it happens, right? But usually it's a grandmother or a family member. And I had an early influence on it, and I just was hooked from day freaking one. I mean, come on. Pro wrestling's the greatest thing in the world. If anybody tells you different, they're wrong. And, like, it's fucking awesome. I hope I can curse. Sorry.
No.
Feel free.
Cool. I guess not too sorry, as I started with the F word. But yeah, man, I was lucky enough to have some family influence that enjoyed wrestling. They weren't wrestlers themselves, and I just got hooked and never looked back.
Obviously, whenever someone decides, you know, wrestling is what I'm going to do, normally there's one or both parents who someone says, wait a minute, you know, Jerry Lynn has told us on numerous occasions that, you know, his parents would never watch the matches just because they were afraid of seeing the blood or, you know, their child getting injured. Did you ever have any family members that were kind of hesitant about that, or worried about, hey, you know what, this is pretty dangerous. Are you sure about this?
No, my well-being has weirdly never come into play with my parents. I was quick to tell them my thoughts of them when I became 18 and felt like they needed to know it. And sometimes that, you know, it's called disrespect. I don't know, some made-up Japanese term, I guess. But nonetheless, my parents, I think they were almost hoping I'd get hurt, to be honest, and it would kind of scare it out of me. But they didn't realize that they were building this little Mecca from day one, and there hasn't been anybody to stop me yet, and there ain't going to be anybody going to.
So obviously, growing up in the Northeast, where, you know, you get wrestling a lot, did you end up getting Madison Square Garden television as well? Up in the Northeast?
I did not. I was a little early for Philly Spectrum wrestling, but I was familiar. I had some tapes, like I said, my father watched, and to my knowledge, I would assume his dad at least tolerated, if not followed. And every now and then I had like an uncle or two that would tell me random stories of, like, if they were at the Spectrum seeing Bruno Sammartino or whatever. So I was more aware of Prism wrestling. And
okay.
The idea of it, I probably didn't understand like how it worked, or, you know what I mean? Because I was young. Hulk Hogan was world champ when I was born. So WWF champ. So I was a little bit past it, but I'm familiar with it.
So obviously, you know, ECW has had a big impact on a lot of people as well, even if it's not necessarily for the hardcore itself, for the storytelling, for the passion. A lot of the same things that Ring of Honor has, a lot of passion, a lot of emotion, very, very fervent fans who eat, sleep, and breathe the product. Did you ever get a chance to enjoy or kind of dabble in watching some ECW as well? Was that something that piqued your interest as well?
For sure. I'm a WWF baby, I guess they would call it, first and foremost. And ECW got hot in the late 90s, so I was still relatively young, not too young, but they were available Saturday nights. So, like, it was a little past the bedtime. And then I went to a live show, but I went to a handful of live shows. They were always pretty rowdy, so, like, Only Dad would go, obviously, to those ones. And I think he kind of got it because it, like, weirdly worked out that Only Dad came to them. Because I think if Mom would have saw a couple things, it might not have flown, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But they were definitely third to me. Not that that's any discredit to them, because I think that's a pretty solid comparison for being a bozo between ROH and ECW. I think one thing that always gets brought up, if you don't mind me touching on that, with those companies is the passion of the fans, right? And like this kind of cult following. I think it's in a way kind of passed itself to GCW now. And like they're on fire, man. But I think that something that gets overlooked is the locker room. And like, I don't know if those fans at Ring of Honor or those fans at ECW or those fans at GCW or wherever you think has that vibe gets that energy unless the locker room brings it. And I felt for a long time there that Ring of Honor had like such a badass locker room. I didn't necessarily get along with everybody. They certainly did not enjoy my company based off putting my bags in the hallway. But we had talent at all walks of pro wrestling. We had big guys, we had high flyers, we had badasses, we had the best technical wrestlers, we had women's wrestling, we had tag team wrestling, we had trios, like we had everything rocking at one point. And I think that's something that I don't want to say gets overlooked, but maybe discredited, the strength and variety that our locker room had had for so long. At Ring of Honor and ECW and GCW's got a whole variety, you know, you get Nick Gage, but you get Blake Christian, but you get, you know what I mean? Like, and then the list goes on and on. Jerry Lynn and Sandman, right? Like, same thing.
Let me ask you about that, just kind of piggybacking on that question. When you talk about locker rooms, we've heard, and you're probably familiar with this, you know, The Undertaker was the locker room leader in the WWE for many years.
Yeah.
Did you guys have maybe not just one person, maybe there was multiple people that kind of were the flag bearers when it came to something like that, that just kind of looked out for other people and was kind of someone everyone kind of was like, you know what, I got a ton of respect for this person?
Not for me, no. No. I mean, sure, there was veterans, but I thought they were all kind of stuck up.
Right.
Yeah, no. I guess PJ Black looked out for me. He's an okay guy. If you had to, I think the Undertaker label is so big, like to put that on anybody is almost like a pressure also that I don't think is fair to put on them. Ring of Honor kind of handled stuff there, you know, guys kind of handled their own things. I guess for sure the locker room's going to be pissed if I don't say Jay Briscoe, but he's a bozo. He's never helped with anything. But he would probably be the guy that if there was a real issue, oh, watch out for Jay. Yeah. I'll watch out for him. I can smell him 6 doors down.
So, you know, with Ring of Honor, I think one of the things that I remember the most about Ring of Honor was just originally, and I think they even got back to that, it was the handshake, it was the respect, it was definitely something that you did not see in any of their promotions, because it was like, you know what, we're going mano a mano, you know, no gimmicks needed with this thing, where I'm just going to bring you the best I got, you give me what you got, we're going to let it all hang out. And I think that's what a lot of people loved, and which was so special about it, that it wasn't a whole lot of gimmicky storytelling type of things. It felt very real. It had that realistic feel, much like an ECW does, or much like a GCW does. What would you say was a moment in your career there so far that you were like, yeah, this definitely is one of my favorite moments that I've had with this company?
You know, I actually thought, where are we at? We're about 18 minutes into this, that you were maybe intelligent, Mike. I was like starting to be fooled. Like, maybe my hat's on too tight. But when was there a moment when it felt real to me? Every goddamn moment I'm in that ring, it's real to me. And I understand you asked for one big moment at Ring of Honor, and we're going to get to that. But the idea that there's moments that exist that aren't real, when I'm in that freaking ring, every goddamn thing matters. And I think that the fact that Ring of Honor became popular for a handshake, well, that handshake went, what it was wiping away this bullshit discrediting of pro wrestling that happening for so long, where people just prostituted moves, maneuvers, holds, and just bastardized it for entertainment's sake sometimes, or what they find entertainment, and it watered down what used to be the baddest motherfuckers on the planet. Whereas Ring of Honor, when you wrestle with somebody and you compete with them at the highest level, and there's actual rules that people have to abide by, and they use them, whether correctly or incorrectly, however the foundation considers it, I think that's impressive. I think any two men just swinging at each other, go to a bar and at least have a 12-pack beforehand. But the technical ability of Ring of Honor, and to me, there's nothing unreal about that. So to further into the question of what was my best moment, it would be hard to overlook Philly. Glory by Honor when I wrestled EC3. Unfortunately, I was unsuccessful, right? But to be able to be considered for so long this brash, bad attitude, hard to deal with, loud, disrespectful individual. That's what I read about me or hear about me. But yet to have an entire crowd appreciate my work and stand on their feet and in spite of that was pretty awesome. Plus it was my hometown, so that helps. I had a freaking Liberty Bell. That was awesome. And while I don't care for a tie, because it is a tie, when we came back from the pandemic, the very first pay-per-view back was Best in the World with live crowd. And Ring of Honor management wasn't stupid. They started the pay-per-view off by putting a live microphone in my hands. And I went toe-to-toe with the Briscoes. Two of the baddest dudes on the planet, and I'm not just talking hygiene, like legitimately tough also, besides their dental bills. And it was something I'll never forget, for sure. But with me, every moment's real in there.
If you had to pinpoint one aspect that makes, just one, I mean, there's probably a lot more, but if you were to narrow it down to one aspect that made Ring of Honor different than when someone's flipping channels through other promotions, what would you say that one thing is? Would you say that
Innovation.
Okay.
Maybe not even just our era, like the stuff that Daniel Bryan and Samoa Joe were doing when it started, right? To what Nigel transformed it to what even like Tyler Black was doing, and the hard striking era of like the American Wolves, and then that even transformed into like the unique ability of the Young Bucks and the innovation that they brought to pro wrestling, and like how innovative guys like Vincent are. I mean, he's creepy as shit, but like to have a whole crowd snap with you while you look like you've never seen a stick of deodorant, like, I don't know, that's some sort of creativity. I think that innovation, I don't think we get credit for how innovative we are. Like, imagine a pro wrestling match on Monday night at 9 o'clock 15 years ago, and then imagine one now. And like that change in just the style of pro wrestling has like flipped its head. Like, look at NXT. That would have never existed if there wasn't Ring of Honor. Period. Like the whole product and the way they work, it's just Ring of Honor at a higher production level, or with a production level that, I don't want to say higher production level, but maybe like a more focused production level, I should say, maybe would be a more professional way of saying it. But yeah, I think innovation.
In 2018, you were part of the first new class in the Ring of Honor dojo. And then you went on to become the #1 seed in the Top Prospect tournament. Would you say when you went into that tournament, that is when the Mecca was born? Or when would you say the Mecca became Ring of Honor?
So if anything, the Mecca was born the moment I lost that tournament. Losing is never fun, right? I mean, it's not. No one enjoys it, and if they do, you don't belong in general. Probably life, but like in pro wrestling, you definitely don't belong. And to finally get what I thought I deserved after, you know, really running that dojo, and then to see that I was seated against a Hall of Famer's son. What? While like Dak Draper, the pride and joy of Denver, gets this like sawed off jabroni. Like, what? I don't know how I didn't see it sooner, and it drove me mad. I didn't sleep for 3 straight days. I swear to God, I didn't sleep for 3 days, and I just kept thinking like, the fucking writing was on the wall. Now, granted, Austin Gunn is obviously talented. He's moved on to do things at AEW. He went to the finals of that tournament, but I slipped on a banana peel. That guy didn't beat me. I was so freaking pissed off. Like I said, I didn't sleep 3 days, and I just festered and festered. And then, you know, I was lucky enough to be in enough shows that I kind of knew where things happened. So, like, I found commentary one day without them knowing, and then I knew a commercial break was happening, so people were lats, and I hopped and got in the ring, and you know, in Milwaukee, and I just had to force my way in. So I would say the loss, the moment the hand hit 3 in Atlanta, that's when the Mecca was born.
So you would sit there and say that the Mecca locomotive slows down, but it never completely ever stops, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't think I've taken a back step since that moment. I mean, there's definitely been some lows, right? I wouldn't say everything had been forward momentum, but in the sense of like nonstop. But I would say ever since I've developed, or I hate saying developed, I've harnessed my energy a little differently, or put a chip on my shoulder, whatever it may be. You people say angry, you know, ever since you got so angry, but I'll be honest, ever since then, I've been on this Mecca locomotive has been rolling forward. I haven't seen anything stop it yet. Sure, there's pauses here and there, you know, a Briscoe boot or a Josh Woods chokehold, but it's nothing stopping it.
When it comes to being the Mecca, let me ask you this question. Especially when it comes to Ring of Honor and the way they handle their talent, it seems to me as a viewer, they give you guys a lot of creative freedom to really do as you wish. It doesn't seem like there's any handcuffs on you. Talk a little bit about the beauty of getting to work with a promotion that allows you to be you and doesn't try to water you down or tries to get you to change where it doesn't feel natural, where the audience just wouldn't go for it.
So, what I find most impressive, and I'll get to your question, I promise. What I find most impressive about my run, albeit short in Ring of Honor, is Ring of Honor is a pro wrestling company, right? Like everybody knows it for the handshake, the code of honor, the technical aspect of it, bell to bell. I am on this podcast tonight because of what I said, not what I did. My promos are what grabbed every single person's attention. And I'm not stupid. My words spoke louder than my actions for the first 6 or 8 months. Then when they started watching and opened their damn eyes, they finally realized that, oh shit, he's really good and he has been. We're just clueless and can't get our sausage fingers off the keyboard to, you know, stop and watch an actual match for once. So in saying that, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm losing. So in saying that, I think that I think that that's proof that they gave us that freedom. I know I got a little jumbled there. The question was about the freedom, and I brought up promos. If I didn't have said freedom to speak my mind like that in those sit-down interviews or in those promos, if I was given, even told what to say to like a 3-line, you know, say if I had 10 to say, but they only gave me 3 that were must, you know what I'm saying? I was given a lot of freedom because that's why we're successful, or why we were a different form of professional wrestling, because we looked at it differently, right? It was the sport aspect first. And without that freedom, you guys wouldn't be talking to me today. I'm not stupid. My promos got me here. And then there's so many other promotions that have now reached out and gotten in touch with me. And I feel like people talk more about what I say most of the time than what I do, which is unfortunate that they don't see talent when it's smack them in the ass. But
it's interesting you bring up like with promos and whatnot. Was that something that you had always wanted to be able to do? Was, hey, give me the microphone, let me speak my mind? Or do you feel like that was something that over time kind of evolved to something where you're like, no, you know what? Now is what I want to say. Now I want to speak upon how I feel after so many years. Do you feel like that was always something that you were really good at or you wanted to do, or
I
just
was
happened to
good
be
at it. I had no problem talking shit. The problem is most guys can't cut promos. That's what, or do interviews, right? And they have to script it, like, because most wrestlers now were grown up as like dorky, nerdy wrestling fans with no friends. Like, they weren't the men of the old days, like the Bruiser, that dude, or the Crusher in Minnesota, or like Harley Race. He grew up like smoking cigarettes as a 14-year-old and beating dudes' asses. So when he got in front of a microphone, he was fucking awesome because he wasn't nervous. Then you have these little dorks that grew up on video games and getting wedgies and like getting picked on. And now they've become pro wrestlers because Twitter is more important than fundamentals in the ring. And they don't know how to talk because they can barely talk to women. You see them when they act around girls like the Allure or around like divas. They're all just bumbling over their own words because they're morons. And the guys that can talk the talk are people that have probably done things successfully outside of wrestling. But these like, and I'm, one to speak, right? I've only been in wrestling, but I didn't grow up some nerd. Like I understand that, the Philadelphia 76ers play basketball and that like the sky is blue. And I've been out of my parents' house for a long period of time. And I think most wrestlers now that have turned into heroes are just dorks that have just happened to get a pair of tights on before somebody else, not necessarily talent. And that's why my promos come off believable, because they're me. They're not me acting like this wrestler I'm supposed to be for every jackass on Twitter.
To me, it sounds a lot like, and I don't know if anybody's ever made a reference or a comparison before to this, like Steve Austin. When they finally allowed him to be himself and for him to speak upon himself, I feel like that is kind of indicative of what you are, a great wrestler. They never understood that you could do so much more. You're given the opportunity and you're allowed to be you in so many different ways without the handcuffs. And now there's gold right there, and people want to be a part of that, and they want to have you because you can talk people in the building. I guess my question to this would be, who are some people that right now in the game today you feel like can grab that stick and they can definitely either put some fear into someone, or they can definitely make it very believable?
So, I think I'd be stupid if I didn't say Eddie Kingston. I
Love
think he's
Eddie.
phenomenal. I don't watch a ton of other product while I was with Ring of Honor. I'll be honest with you, because to me it was like, why the fuck am I supporting them? They're not my friends. They're my enemies. They're literally taking the same money pot from me so they can pay their bills. So I didn't watch a lot. But he's from the Northeast, so I've seen Eddie enough that I could respect him till day one. But I'm going to just give some from Ring of Honor that I think, obviously not still running regularly, but if you get a chance to see these dudes, I think these guys can talk the talk. I'm biased, obviously, again, with the Ring of Honor tag, but I actually think Jay Briscoe could talk. I mean, he could talk a deaf guy into the building. Jay Briscoe's phenomenal on the stick. I think Kenny King is really underrated, but he's one of the smoother talkers. He's got a creative, super creative mind, and he's got his hand on pop culture and like that type shit. So he can make references that even like common folk can get, which is really hard for a wrestler sometimes. Like he can reference The Bachelor and catch somebody. Not everybody can do that. And that's a good, and he can do it like smooth and like pro wrestling. It's good. He's phenomenal. I don't want to leave anybody off. Just from Ring of Honor, again, I'm trying to stick to that. You know who I think, here's one that I don't think a lot of people talk about when they see a good promo. I think Tracy Williams, Hot Sauce Tracy Williams, is one of the best professional wrestling promos. He's belief in what he says. Tracy and I have actually never gotten along. A stupid thing over handshakes and shit that he's a nerd, whatever. But he's convincing in what he says. And I believe that any good promo is something where not only am I the person viewing it, believing it, but I'm believing it because seemingly the person delivering it is. And I will say, wow, I don't give two shits for Tracy. Plus, he's from Brooklyn. Fuck the Nets. Like, he's one of those hipster dorks. Like, there's so much not to like about Tracy Williams, but his promos is not one of them. His promos are damn good. So I gave 4. That's 4 compliments. That's 4 more than I've ever given on a podcast.
I appreciate that. Is there anybody, since you've been in the business for such a long time, anybody that you've chosen to maybe take under your wing, or, coach on the side, somebody that you had a lot of respect for, or that you felt like there was a little bit of them, you in them?
No. I haven't liked a goddamn soul that I've met. I probably helped PJ Black a bit, but everyone says he helps me. But besides that, I had to do that. Ends justify the means, right? No, I ain't helping nobody.
So you would say there probably wasn't anybody who you worked with that maybe even helped elevate your game?
Well, I mean, stepping in the ring with the Briscoes at the time elevated my game because I was stepping up to another level. But, I mean, I belonged there for a long damn time. That was more just matter of fact. No, who elevated me? Me. I elevated me. Mecca elevated Mecca. Elevated me.
So we're in 2022. It's early still, very early, the infancy of this calendar year. Is there anybody on your dartboard that you are absolutely got laser focused on that you definitely wanna wrestle? Is there anybody? Is there like a top 3 list of people, or is there
anybody with a heartbeat where the payday is sufficient? I know that guys make a list, right? That's the big thing now, because that jackass with dyed hair and a stupid tattoo made one 8 years ago, and everybody's kissing his ass. His was cool. Now, but it just copies him as less than. So I just look at it that way, like not the original one. The original one was cool, but everybody since has just been some way to kiss other guys' asses so they can try to wrestle them somewhere. Whereas, like, I'm not here to make friends with you. I don't want, this guy in this promotion I never met to know that I think his work's great so we can have a splendid fucking doodah. No. I want to kick everybody's ass and make the most money and be the best wrestler ever. I don't know why else you would be here. If you're here to make fucking friends, then go play, beer league softball. I'm here to whoop ass. I'm not here to shake your hands and take your photos after the show and then tweet about how awesome that drop kick. Fuck yourselves. I don't like you guys. I don't like half of the guys I met at Ring of Honor, if not all of them either. And I'm sure as I go to more locker rooms, my mouth like this, because I tell people this, they're not going to care for me. And I don't give a shit.
Well, everybody knows that you have untouchable mic skills, but a lot of people don't want to give you credit for the in-ring skills you have, the conditioning you have, the toughness you have, the pure wrestling ability you have. But you've been in the ring with Josh Woods. You've been in the ring with Gresham. Who do you think actually was able to take you the distance, to take you those uncharted waters, and make you even better after the match?
Well, I'd like to point out in the Pure Rules that came back, I am one of the only guys to compete in the Pure Rules matches with multiple matches and never to be pinned or submitted. Just saying, that is factual. The referee called for stoppage in my match against Josh Woods. I never said the words I quit. I can't help that Todd thinks that I have the same win that he does, thus calling the match early. Another bad ref call. But in a sense of somebody that pushed me, I think an obvious answer is John Gresham, but it wasn't in the pure rules. Someone that actually pushed me pretty hard that I don't think people realize how friggin' good. I'll hand to whoever the hell's above me. I didn't expect him to be. John Walters was freaking awesome. Way better than I expected. I actually came in thinking like, man, this guy's been selling insurance for like the last 12 months. I thought I saw him on a Geico commercial once. And like, I thought he was going to be 4 steps behind. And I'll be honest, like I went out the night before. I showed up an hour late for call time. I caught trouble that day because they called me unprofessional. And I was like, why should I be shaking in my boots to be smack around Jake from State Farm stunt double? And they were all fucking pissed off. But nonetheless, he brought it. Maybe he was pissed off. But John Walters pushed me for sure. John Walters.
Let's talk a little bit about fan interaction. I know you touched upon that a little earlier on. You know, you're not there for pictures or anyone to come up to you and say, hey, can I get a selfie, or I liked your match. But have you had any interactions where people have tried to, and what has your response been to these people?
So I wrestle for a company known as MCW.
Yep.
Unfortunately, they have not taken to my liking of rebranding it Mecca Championship Wrestling, but I can't help that there are dumbasses everywhere in pro wrestling. Nonetheless, MCW at the moment is a company that I have allowed the audience to pay money ahead of time to get my autograph. I make sure that 2 of the biggest security guards stand at my table. They keep a good distance from me. I will sign what I want to whom I want, no matter what your stinking name is. And if you ask for a picture with me, I make sure you don't touch me, and I never smile. I feel like that way I am still willing to take your money, because why the hell should Jack, like Quinn McKay, right? Everybody thinks she's so sweet with her bow tie. She's one of the biggest pains in the asses I've ever met in my life. But she gets to sell merchandise and take pictures because she likes to smile. But because I'm not comfortable being touched by some guy that probably hasn't washed his hands since his 4th bag of Cheetos earlier tonight, I'm sorry. I'm the bad guy. I don't think that's fair. So I will write them whatever poetic justice I feel they deserve on their 8x10 and sell them that way. But I do my best to avoid them. Unfortunately, everybody was in the picture-taking mood at Ring of Honor. So I guess I would describe me as unphotogenic when those things come up. Conveniently unphotogenic.
Fair enough.
Think about it, Mike. Let's say you go to the grocery store.
Yes.
Probably for you, fast food aisle, whatever. By the looks of it. And some jackass comes walking down, and he's got this T-shirt on that looks like it could be a shower curtain, but it's fitting him skin tight like an Under Armour shirt. It says Bullet Club, and it's got stupid fingers like this. His belly's hanging out underneath. His jeans don't fit him. He doesn't even tie his shoes. He's got those fat, puffy Vans where you like just pull the strings because he's too damn lazy. And he goes, hey, I love your podcast. Can I get a picture with you? And then takes his big, slimy, sweaty-ass arm. Like, just lifting it is an exercise and a half for him for the day. And he wants to slap it on your shoulder and wants you to smile. How would you feel? Like, I just want to buy some freaking rotisserie chicken and go home, pal. Leave me alone.
Yeah, I wouldn't be down for that.
Take that mental image, because it's not like I'm getting it's not like pro wrestling shows are held in the middle of the Mall of America and there's these supermodels having a gala next to us and they're by all means, if that was the case, no problem. But instead, I'm in Joppa, Maryland, and there's 15 people in the front row, and we ain't even hitting 37 teeth between them. And I'm supposed to be friendly when I touch them?
So can I assume that you would not be on Cameo?
Oh, no, actually, get this shit. Hey, Cameo, I hope they're listening. You suck. Because I don't know if you realize this, guy. I might not be the most personable son of a bitch on the planet. Not a lot of people follow me. So when I subscribe to Cameo to try to get this job, I don't have enough followers to prove that I'm a celebrity. Isn't that some shit? Hey, Cameo, go eat one. Get bent. People would pay damn good money to have me insult their family members. Trust me. You should see the shit that used to get DM'd to me during the ROH Twitter watch-along parties. People that are best friends in ROH. Whoa, the things they wanted me to say because they didn't have the balls to do it. Yeah, I would make billions. Cameo would make, they'd have Cameo 2.0 just because of me. Those idiots are losing out on free money. Jackasses. But they put Danhausen on there. Clowns.
Hey, I might actually send you some money to sit there and send Freland a message or two.
Wait a minute. Well, the Mecca has no problem with me. Let's make that very clear.
At the moment, you started off real slow, so you had a low bar to raise over. And I'll be honest,
low hanging fruit.
You barely tripped over it, but good job.
I appreciate that.
I appreciate that you shaved your head and have a scraggly beard trying to look like me. Sorry, you still fall under those same people I talk about greeting me at the grocery store, though. I would stay far, far away from you.
Hey, I appreciate it, though.
Yeah, don't be a shower curtain, Ritt. Jeez, Pete's.
Whoa! Shower curtain. Look at you there, buddy.
Hey, I own it, my friend. Okay, I own it. I have an underactive thyroid. We'll talk about it later. Let's talk about this, Mecca. Injuries play a big role in wrestling. Obviously, sometimes we find out, things that you wouldn't even assume end up causing injuries, torn biceps or blown out knees or you name it. What are some of the biggest setbacks that you've occurred or have occurred with you in your career? And, what is the litany of things that you've had done, whether it be surgeries or just broken bones? Kind of let us know, because I know a lot of fans are interested in hearing all the injuries that wrestlers end up going through.
I've been lucky to be relatively healthy. Knock on wood, wherever the hell there is some. I blew out my left eardrum early on in my career, like all three walls just straight through. I had full cornea trauma to my left eye, and now it's constantly dilated, so like pictures suck sometimes. Bumps, bruises, concussions, but I like major surgeries and injuries. I hand to whatever jabronis above me. Thank them, because I've been lucky. I've been in some painful bumps and bruises, but nothing that put me down for more than a few days. Them two are really the biggest two I probably had. I think I might have had a broken rib, but I didn't diagnose it once. But you know what I mean? Like I didn't go to a doctor and then him tell me your rib's broken, don't move for 6 days, and then charge me $700. Like I could have figured that out on my own. So yeah, they're the only two that are like diagnosed.
Would you still say that there's a general consensus in wrestling that if I'm injured and I take off literally any amount of time, that there is some serious question when I do come back, whether or not I'm still going to have the same push that I had before, or I may lose my spot, or whatever was going on with me might get back burnered. Is that general consensus still believed right now, or do you think that promotions have kind of moved past that and realized, oh, somebody's injured, but as soon as they're cleared, we're going to bring them right back into where they were before?
So, you would hear horror stories about that back in the day, right? Like guys lose their place and then they don't get replaced. And I think that carniness maybe of it is gone. Like I do think a promotion. Also, I think promotions learned that like Triple H in 2002, the injury comeback pop is kind of crazy. Like it's almost like a self-built reaction that you don't need to build a story around. So if a star is big enough, whereas back in the day, maybe they were nervous to bring them back because there was less outlets of promotion because it was only the local TV. You know what I mean? Like it was different ways to promote wrestling. So you couldn't promote a comeback the same way or create the same. It's a different world now. So I think that aspect of guys being fearful of losing a spot is probably gone to an extent. But I think there's some real warriors out there that still like won't talk about injuries. Again, I can only talk about my experiences because they're mine. I can't speak about somebody else's. But I was at Ring of Honor towards the back end of Dalton Castle's world title run. And that man literally broke his fucking back for us. And that doesn't get talked about enough. And he didn't bitch once. to my knowledge. I mean, I guess he, you know, me and Dalton don't talk much, so why would he bitch to me? We don't share Christmas cards. Actually, like, could you imagine what a Christmas card from that jackass would? Probably weird.
I mean,
but nonetheless, just like an example of someone recently who legitimately broke his back and continued wrestling for as long as he could until, you know, the title eventually changed hands and he, you know, found time off. But, you know, I think there's a lot of heroes like him that go untalked about nowadays, which is kind of weird, but still impressive in the social media. Everybody talks days.
Well, you've been in Ring of Honor. You've been in MCW. I seen you work PPW. I think it was September or October over here in Pennsylvania. Yeah. What do you think makes a great locker room, you know, gel together like the old ECW days?
So I think diversity in a locker room is important. All different ways. Like that can be a hot button in ways, but I don't just mean from sexual orientation or racial ways, although they are important to have that also. I'm not saying they're not. I mean it from you need to have high flyers to powerhouses. Styles make fights, guys, so have different styles. What brings a locker room together? Not me, apparently. Just based off my experiences in locker rooms that I've been in consistently, I don't seem to be the glue that holds everybody together, unless that like common denominator, everybody not liking one person. I guess I fall under that and everybody rallies around my shit. But in my last 2 long stays of MCW and ROH, I can tell you together is not a word I would have used to describe me and my coworkers.
You know, with all the different promotions that are out there right now, and it seems like with the advent of IWTV, and we've talked about Fight before on this show numerous times, the beauty of that is people can see matches from just about any promotion, anywhere, for the right subscription rate, or they go on YouTube and people have their cell phones out and they take, you know, videos or whatnot. How important, bless you, how important do you feel like the advent of social media to where it is today has contributed to obviously the growth and the exposure of the Mecca? Do you feel like if this was, let's say, 95 and you were where you are right now, obviously things might not be, I don't want to say it's popping, but social media does play a big role. Would you agree?
Yeah, but can you also agree that social media also allows for a lot of people that I don't think belong to get shots that they don't deserve?
Absolutely.
Like, I think it plays both folds. I think I'm cut from a different cloth for sure. Like, I know I'm not, you know, the guy of 2022. I'm not going to be on GQ and Time Magazine. But the idea, like the social media depicting people, like, yeah, it's been great because there's some guys that have gotten eyes on them that maybe couldn't have because they were in small markets and you can share a video and it can go right. Like, there's definitely good stories about it. There's also a bunch of stories of like guys that just get opportunities because, you know, they were an influencer for the 7 years before this, or like I said, so because I'm not personable, like I'm not friggin', you know, Leave It to Beaver. People don't talk about me more. I almost think that that grit, that little Philly bit in me that like has kind of given me this blue collar edge, this pissed off Philly guy that I am. I think I would have broke through in any era. Sometimes I wonder if I was born in the wrong era, like I would have did better 10, 15 years ago or 25, 30 years ago. Because I don't play the social media game. And I think a lot of it is that, like, having to have an opinion on everything that happens in wrestling. I don't, and if I do, I don't want you to fucking know it. Like, I don't like you. I'll go tell the person that I want to talk to about it. Like, why do I need to put it in 140 characters and wait to see what, you know, Joe from Minnesota thinks? There's probably so many Joes in Minnesota that like think I'm talking about them directly, and I don't know any of them. They all probably suck. But
fuck them all, right?
Yeah, fuck them all. Yeah, you know, I think, yeah, it's important and it's great in certain ways. And the accessibility is great. But I also think that maybe the accessibility is half the problem because now it's given, like, I think this is everywhere in the world. Sorry for this tangent. We have given everybody in the world so much information now. It's so quickly at your fingertips. Even if your fingertips are your size mites or a normal person's size, they're at your fingertips. The information's there. And people read this information, whether it's accurate or not, and assume it to be gold, right? And it's like, oh, I'm now intelligent to this product. You see in the NFL, like how many jackasses say a coach should be fired because he didn't do this. And it's like you read one article about what an A gap is, and now you think you're a fucking defensive lineman. Like, shut up. It's the same thing in pro wrestling. Now that all these podcasts have everybody coming out and flapping their gums about every backstage thing that's ever happened, now you got Fat Tony on his couch, you know, and his mom gives him a few dollars of inheritance, and he thinks he can run shows and depict who's good or who's bad. And since he spent the first 20 years of his life doing YouTube reviews of toy soldiers, he somehow has 100,000 followers, and now he's fucking booked on a show. That's asinine to me, but that's pro wrestling 101. Now, obviously, if you had the talent, it'll come through, and it did for me, and it comes through in different ways. But I think in those other times, maybe I would have had to fight less rounds of the same boxing, if that made sense. I think in earlier years.
It does. It does. I definitely get that feel from you, and it's very genuine too. It's not a put on where you get from certain wrestlers where it's like, okay, this is my shtick. You know, this is what I'm going to do, and it seems very contrived. With you, it seems like it is very much from the heart, and this is who I am. Take it or leave it. It's your call. I don't care either way. But I also agree with what you said earlier about likability has nothing to do with marketability. And marketability means money. Whether you like me or not has nothing to do if there's an ass every 18 inches. You know, as Jim Ross would say, that is the absolute only thing that matters. But no, I've enjoyed it. Very interesting. I would love to get a chance to do a part 2 with you as well, because I know there's a lot of more meat on the bone.
I mean, hey, Rick, don't you interrupt me. What are you doing? I would enjoy to come back. While I don't necessarily always enjoy podcasts or talking to people, I enjoy talking about professional wrestling. So anytime you guys want to talk about it, I'm definitely interested.
Absolutely.
Well, you love talking professional wrestling. Time for me to ask the hottest question any podcast could ever ask you. We're going to go to the hot tub time machine.
Oh, no.
I had nothing to do with this.
You can go back in the time.
There's no way the two of you are sharing one hot tub, for the record, size-wise. Just saying.
Oh, man. You can go back in the time to any wrestling match in history. You were going to take somebody out of a match, and you're in that match. Which match is it and why?
I also have the diabetes, so just thought I would the thyroid issue and the diabetes. Anyway.
Yeah, that has something to do with retaining salt. You bloat when you're in water or something.
Absolutely, right
anyway, now. If I had to replace somebody and take their spot in a match,
any match you want in any era.
I'm just trying to think of what side of the fence. Do I get to change the outcome?
You win.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I guess it would be assumed I'd win, right? Assuming the outcome changes, I would take Andre the Giant out of WrestleMania 3 because that payday was probably ridiculous. And then I'd smack the dog shit out of Hulk Hogan in front of 93,000 and have the biggest moment. That's the biggest match of all time, right? So I would just take that one. Because, like, that's my goal. You call it, like, real, right, Mike? And I appreciate that, or genuine or passionate. And I really do actually appreciate when people call it that and not cocky or hard-headed. You at least see that I'm not spewing random venom. This is very directed, where I'm focused. And that direction is one spot. And I want to be remembered forever in pro wrestling. I want to be a guy that when they come out with an encyclopedia, I'm on the cover. I want to be – am I going to end up as decorated in the eyes of every single human being ever in pro wrestling? Maybe not, but I want to be on the list that when they talk about the best of the best, I'm on it. I want to be on that list. I want to be guys that, hey, remember this era? You couldn't miss the fucking Mecca. His promos were untouchable. And I think 2021, I really put a mark on that. And it was the start of it. And the fact that now that I got it rolling, it ain't going to stop. It's not going to stop.
Well, the last thing, obviously, to throw out here would be, where can people buy your stuff to put money in your pocket? You have some pro wrestling tees. You have some stuff where people can line those pockets.
So Pro Wrestling Tees, I guess they just tried to steal everybody's information or something. I don't know. I don't have any T-shirt. I'm sorry, that was a joke. I don't know what happened. I heard there was a security breach on the website, but I literally don't know. Maybe that was rude to Pro Wrestling Tees. I have a website with whatamaneuver.com is where you can find my T-shirts at the moment. At the moment when I actually tried to subscribe to what Pro Wrestling Tees, they were down. So, get a better service, I guess.
Where can people see you at coming up soon? If you're going to be in their neck of the woods.
January, I'll be at On Point Wrestling. The second week of January, I'll be at IWA Vintage, which both of those shows are in New Jersey. I'm at MCW at any show that they have. I know they have Celeb Fest in February, a follow-up show in Hollywood, I believe, on the 6th. I'm so bad with dates off the top of my head. But if you go to my Twitter, at BJO_Mecca, MECCA, and my Instagram is the exact same, BJO_MECCA. I constantly have posts up talking about opponents or bozos of the week, which both of you are prime candidates to be at any point in time.
I wouldn't expect anything less, to be honest with you.
I'm kind of hoping.
Well, I tell you what, Mecca, you are a great interview, and there's so many more things that I'm sure we can go into the next time we have a sit down with you. But in all seriousness, I wish you absolutely all the best, safest health, injury free. Get out there, hustle, and make that money. And I know you're going to do everything you said you're going to do. And you know what? Here's to a great 2022.
Hey man, pleasure is all you guys.
Absolutely.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. Take care.
We'll talk to you soon. All right, perfect. Man. See, here's the deal. Here's the deal. Why do you have to set me up like that in the beginning? What is the deal with you?
Well
okay,
Freland.
This guy right now, I already have bruises on my body from just the way he looked at me. Do you understand? And a person like me, I'm fairly pudgy. Do you understand the fat bruises? And it stays. You've seen Dusty Rhodes' side. Okay, that man could look at me and he'd give me a bunch of Dusty Rhodes spots. And you seem to not give three shits. It's just like, oh, we'll throw him under the bus. Yeah. Yep.
Hey, Freeland, this is the first episode of 2022.
I don't give a shit whether it's the third, fourth, or fifth.
I'm still thinking, Freeland, about last week when we gave out the awards. And I'm already trying to push candidates for the person that sit there and put you in your place the most.
What?
Right now, the Mecca is in the lead for putting you in your place the most for 2022.
Hold on a second. Let's just back up and pause the DVR, okay? First of all, he and I were fine until you were the one who said, "Hey, by the way, introduce the guest. Say this." Like I'm your fucking monkey or something like that. And you're like, hey, jump. First of all, I don't jump, okay? I haven't ran since the Carter administration, so I can't be your little puppet boy over here. But you're the one who set me up, so don't tell me that Mecca and I couldn't have gotten along well. Now the pee poo thing, I will take some heat for that. I just the choo choo poo poo. I thought that was kind of funny. I thought maybe not.
Freeland, you'll learn one day.
I will the hard way.
I set him up.
Get it the hard way.
You knock him down.
Yeah. It's been good. It's been good. Awesome. You guys, so please, by all means, follow the Mecca on social media. He gave his Instagram information and his his Twitter information. And What a Maneuver is going to have some shirts. So we'll make sure we keep you posted when those become available. Buy his merchandise.
Hey, Freeland, I was looking at our guests for this month, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like we're doing a whole Ring of Honor, month.
Ring of Honor is pretty damn amazing, and it's a twofold situation. It absolutely sucks that they're on hiatus right now. It does, because I want those guys and girls to be able to make that money and continue doing what they do so well. However, on the flip side, on a very selfish standpoint, it's great because we get a chance before everything goes back for them to at least get to sit down and share just a little bit of time with them, and we get to talk to them. So I think it's one of those 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other.
Exactly. But Freeland, top of the hour. Let's sit there and let's take a little break. And when we come back, let's hit up the panel.
We are. I'll take my insulin and check my thyroid. And when we come back, it's panel time. We've got questions that you wouldn't believe. We're going to talk about Tony Khan, Leo Rush, CM Punk. What's going on with the Big E situation? Fox made a big boo-boo when it came to day one and so many other things. Our panel is going to handle all our six-pack of questions and maybe a little bit more. Don't go anywhere. This is your Tuesday night on Front Row Material.